And this wonderful club tonight has honoured some of their past champions, including the greats Raper and Langlands. And it's Larson who gets first touch of the ball. In fact, North Sydney with first use of it. And this is Trindle, who's making his way out towards the 30-metre line. And the Bears with Fairley now out to the 40-metre line. And 3 tackles only has seen a very good start to this set of 6. Josh Stewart reaching the halfway line. 4 tackles gone. Hewitt is back to the 10 metres and brings St George back with him. So it's been an early kick by North Sydney that sees the fullback for St George, Dean Raper, coming back to be tackled about 12 metres out from his line. They've got an awesome run down to the semi-finals, St George, as North Sydney have. And we mustn't lose sight of the fact that there's St George's run home, by the way, South Queensland, Sydney City and Parramatta. But we mustn't lose sight of the fact that this is important for North Sydney because they want to finish in the top 3. They play Magpies, South Queensland and Sydney City.
Well, I'm sure that North Sydney haven't written themselves off as being minor premiers this year either, Ray. We're hoping that maybe a stumble will occur from Manly, and all of a sudden they might have that second bite at the cherry, courtesy of finishing number 1 as Matt Sears takes it over his 20-metre line. 3 in the tackle for the Saints.
Disappointing crowd in at Kogarah tonight, and that in itself is uninspiring for the Dragons as they hope to pull off another miracle, as I said, similar to the performances of 95 and 96. Mark Soden ducking under the tackle of Tanga Totoa. And now it's with Taylor, an infield pass for Fairley. Taylor might have been taken out of fraction late. Nothing was said. Nobody gestured to the referee. Now Taylor puts it to the boot and keeps it low, driving it about 5 metres away from the St George line, and the winger in number 2, Lee Murphy, gets his first touch. And it was Gavin Clinch unloading for Dean Raper. And Dean will play the ball about 15 out from his own line. They cross the 20-metre line. A good run there by their captain, Mark Coy.
They went to sleep there, the North Sydney players. On the blind side of the ruck, and the Saints will get a penalty here. Good passage of play for the home team. The North players being called out.
I'm just following the way I see him, Dave.
Is that going to be a problem, Paul? North Sydney, is there a chance that there might be some complacency here? As Peter said, they went to sleep there.
Yeah, they did, but there'll be no complacency. As Peter's already mentioned, they want that minor premiership. They're a good side. And just looking at this St George team on paper tonight, you know, North Sydney should win quite comfortably, but Saints are very hard to beat here on a Friday night at Kogarah, and I think they'll give a good account of themselves. Some newcomers to me, Lee Murphy, Daniel Wagon and Stephen Price, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. A mistake now for the Saints.
Trindle joins in, comes down the open side, reaches the 40-metre line. Ward is on top of him. Bartram with an assist. Fairley comes in, beats Lance Thompson. Ball might have come off St George. Fairley gets it back. Matt Hewitt says play on, and North Sydney starts 6 tackles again. Nigel Roy running down the blind, reaching the 40-metre line. His opposition in, and that is the first of a new set for North Sydney. Maybe they will get it somewhere down towards the 20 this time. Florimo is 33 out from the line as they work it off to the centre of the ground. Stewart puts on a sprint and reaches the 20 almost. Now a good position on the ground. They've got sufficient tackles up their sleeve to really worry St George. And Butner it is that's pulled down by Price, and that would be tackle number 4. They're 16 out from the line. To the centre of the ground with the pass from Taylor, finding Florimo, floating back into Soden. Soden eventually able to get the way to Florimo. His pass has gone backwards. Larson knocks on. It will be a scrum. So plenty of movement of the ball, but North's not really going anywhere. Steve Roach, a comment on the sidelines.
Well, look, I'm a big fan of Wayne Bartram. I've just been watching St George the last 4 times that they've had the football. He hasn't run it. If you remember back to the semi-finals last year, he was outstanding, and Saints need him to run the ball.
Yeah, the best performances we've seen from St George over the last 12 months, we've seen Bartram and Nathan Brown really dominate. And St George aren't going to do anything in the last month of this competition. Those 2 players have got to come to the fore. But a mammoth amount of mistakes in this game. The first 10 or 11 minutes. There's another one. Drop ball. St George giving North Sydney plenty of opportunities here.
Well, they haven't given them a better opportunity than this, really. Just inside the 30-metre line, North Sydney. Are they about to crack St George? Butner waits for a second man play. Sears was there a little bit early. And Nigel Roy is put down 25 metres out from St George's line. Sears waits a dummy half and gets it on for Larson to reach the 20. Takes on Thompson and Pearson. Beats them both. Gets it on for Sears. Back to the 20 they go. Puts a sprint on. Then it's Fairley. Then the angle. Florimo. Florimo put down 9 metres away from the St George line. Quickly away from Caruana for Taylor. He drifts across the ground. Butner goes to sleep on the play. St George with Coyne comes out of it. Then it's Price. And Price is put away about 32 metres out from his own line.
Well, North Sydney are their own worst enemies tonight. And here's a penalty now to St George. They've had plenty of football. They're putting on plenty of plays, but maybe just being too fancy. Here's a play by North Sydney, inside ball, and it's just not well read at all by the inside runner there, Butner.
Tap to be taken down on the 40-metre line. That's Pearson, willing as ever. Black armbands on St George tonight as a mark of respect for the late Neville Smith, who was captain coach of St George, first grade, when they won it in 1941. He was a great servant to St George, and to his family we pass on our sympathies. As Brown takes it to the 10-metre line. Saints on the attack now. Will they be the first one to draw blood? Tanga Tatoa. 3 metres out from the line, the Dragons with Clinch, and then for Thompson. And he's put away by Fairley and Butner, but look at the line. Just a metre away. Now for Clinch again, puts in a kick. And Soden's got it, but it ricocheted off one of his teammates.
Yeah, fortuitous bounce there for North Sydney. And now they're out near their own 20. And Greg Florimo's doing a great job. He's playing lock forward tonight, normally a 5'8" centre. Has had some second row experience, but he's filling in well for Billy Moore tonight, who was out, I believe, for about a month. They'll miss him, and they're missing him tonight with his wide running.
Second day of the test from Trent Bridge follows the football tonight. Big start to a weekend of sport on the 9 network as Dallas puts it, or takes it to ground. 39 out from the North Sydney line. Nothing in the game so far. St George matching it with them for handling mistakes as well, I suppose, must be said. Lee Murphy taken there in a good tackle by Nigel Roy. Back on his own 30-metre line. 0-0 as we come to the 15th minute. And then Raper uses Murphy again. Larson waits and puts him down with Roy on the 40-metre line as Brown looks off to the blind side to see what's happening there. St George love using the blind side. Here's Thompson, who is one of the youngsters St George have locked up for a lengthy period of time. Ward looking around, looking to get it away. He's had to adopt, well, I guess what should be said about Colin Wood, he's had to become a lot more mature more quickly than many of the young prop forwards going around. And he's done the job well too. Gavin Clinch puts in a kick that goes high. Plenty of time for the runners. Coyne was in there, Fossick in. Price gets away with the ball, puts it over the line. Matt Hewitt's looking at his touch judges. He's already checked with the in goal, and now he's going back to the touch judge on the right of the ground, who's indicated a knock-on. Well, we will break. It's no score, 15 and a half gone, St George and the Bears.
Be warned.
How many of that girl are you seeing?
You'll pay a heavy price.
You can't tell which is which either.
Getting involved with Joey's sisters.
Now you can punch her. What?
The hit comedy series Friends, Monday.
How do you improve a car that has already won 2 Car of the Year awards? You make it simply safer. You make it simply quieter. You make it simply roomier. Introducing the all-new, fully imported Mazda 626. It's simply better.
At Lucknow Skin Shop and Boot Barn, we're having a giant boot clearance sale. Prices slashed on Super Doggers, now $165. Johnny Reb Long $179, short $159. The ever popular Mac boot only $95. Lork Redback work boots $49. Northern Extreme Hikers $89, and Baxter quality footwear with all leather sole, men's $115, youth and ladies only $105. Forget the rest. These are the best prices in the Central West. Only while stocks last and open 7 days. And as always, F Plus and laybys welcome.
Jerry Fletcher has theories.
The whole Vietnam War was fought over a bet that Howard Hughes lost to Aristotle Onassis.
And she is the only one he trusts.
I've loved you since the first time I ever saw you.
You don't love me.
Now, one of his theories is true, only he doesn't know which one.
I got it.
Conspiracy Theory, directed by Richard Donner.
You know Super Strength Morning Fresh is the best. You can see you only need the tiniest amount. You can see how easily it cuts through grease. And you know it's always removed germs from dishes. Morning Fresh. It's clearly the best.
Come on, time for school. No. Don't be late for your first day. School's fun. You can wear your favourite dress.
That's not my favourite.
Oh, so that's your favourite today. We better wash it then, eh? Put some powder in. There we are.
Omo Micro has the power to deliver brilliant whiteness and brightness.
We did it.
Omo.
Can I wear my other favourite dress tomorrow?
Always white, always bright.
Tuesday on Real TV, a race against time in raging floodwaters. A novel way to stop high-speed car chases, and she's rolling. You have to see it to believe it. Real TV, 9 o'clock Tuesday on When.
Back at Kogarah, thank you for joining us. As North Sydney bring it away from the 10-metre line. And just before the break, this is what happened.
Yeah, real let-off here. The referee ruling that Mark Coyne got a hand in there to knock the ball forward. And from that view, I can't argue with it. Matt Sears definitely got a touch as well, but if Coyne touched any of the football, it did go forward. And that's why we saw the no try ruling against Stephen Price.
Florimo now. 35 away, got a pass away. Stewart finished up with the ball, but he got a shock when it came back from Florimo. Taylor has taken a 10 more down the ground. Soden unloads. Aiken puts on a sprint, and he's looking in vain for support. They're not supporting the ball carrier as it goes away on tackle number 5. Florimo to the 30. He puts in a kick. Bounces inside the touch. Dallas got there in time. Here comes a try for Michael Butner. Butner's over the line. Matt Hewitt will point to the spot. Beautiful work, Greg Florimo. Excellent work, Brett Dallas. And Michael Butner puts it over the line.
Well, what a game of this rugby league is. One end of the field, St George denied a try, and then 6 tackles later, North Sydney, a great kick from Florimo. And look at the speed of Dallas. He was onside. Great piece of footwork there, and he flicked it inside, hoping for some support. And Butner was there. Butner.
Yeah, we mentioned early in the game that the bounce went against St George when they tried a similar tactic. On this occasion, Greg Florimo showing great vision. The ball sat up for Brett Dallas, and he did a marvellous job to stay in the field of play before getting the ball back inside. And Butner, he carries the number 4 Daniel Wagon over with him for the first try. It took him a while to get it down. Only 2 minutes ago we were plenty of conjecture whether St George were going to put on the first points. That's how quickly a game can change.
So Taylor now, 5 in from touch. 77%, he's rating very high. That's what he's confronted with. And on its way, it's wide. So 4 points to 0, North Sydney over St George. Let's take you back a couple of minutes to the St George no try. Still a lot of puzzled St George fans looking back at the box, wondering did Coyne get a touch on it. I can understand that. but it only takes the smallest of touches. Then it went to the other end of the park, and Dallas, he kept it alive. Butner supported the ball player, and then in for a try.
Yeah, well, he got it down on the first occasion. And going back to the St George no try, from the referee's action or reaction, it did appear as though the call came from the touch judge, that he'd seen the knock on, so it wasn't really the referee's decision. He looked all set to award a try.
No doubt about that, Peter. Fairly put down. Bit of a groan from the crowd. They thought it was a high tackle on Fairley. Now Hewitt has pinched St George for being inside the 10. Players just inside the North Sydney 40-metre line as Jason Taylor puts a kick in. Oh, St George desperately trying to get a touch on it, forcing a scrum rather than the tap free. It was a good effort, good athleticism there by Dean Raper. Trindle will play it 3 metres inside the 20-metre line as Stewart gets it to the centre of the ground. They're only 8 metres out. St George standing off a little bit. Florimo comes in and works from the right across to the left, trying to link up with Larson. Florimo then playing it back, and Aiken for Taylor with a long pass, and now it's out with Matt Sears, and that's good driving defence by Price, forcing him back to the 20-metre line. Trindle gets in the queue and takes it ahead again. 5 gone. Taylor will probably bomb here. They're scouting wide North Sydney. There goes the kick from Taylor, and underneath it has Ben Aiken, but so too are St George. They might have got a touch on it. Referee ruling that it's the turnover.
It looked like it might have been a double knock on there. St George definitely lost the football first, and then North Sydney must have knocked on. It's again some driving defence, this time on Bartram. Here's the kick coming down. Well, it actually came off the North Sydney player who jumped high. So it was pulled up well and truly before Michael Butner got his hands on the football.
It's Colin Ward now. 15 is on for North Sydney. That is Pomeroy, and Stewart is off. Okay, so it's Pomeroy. There's no need to just look at me as I've committed some cardinal sin. Thompson plays it now.
Stop looking at him, Sterlo.
Ward out to the 30.
It is a dog, isn't it?
Clinch, leave me alone, please, with the snappers. Give us a call. North Sydney now on the 40-metre line, coming up with a St George mistake. And this is Pomeroy. Soden there for Larson, and Larson commanding the respect of 3 St George players. Thompson made the best tackle. Taylor unloads. Fairley was with it, but Brown was on top of him. They're 12 metres out from the line. North Sydney looking dangerous. Taylor, Florimo, Caruana, and Caruana picked up and put over the sideline. Got rid of the ball in time. North have still got it. 5 tackles gone. Soden drops into first receiver, and then Florimo puts in a kick. And I think the players out to the left of the ground would have been wishing Greg Florimo right out of the road on that occasion.
Yeah, bad choice. Taylor had played the football, so Flo probably thought I better kick this, but Soden, who's a former halfback, was at first receiver, could have put up a bomb. Not to worry.
22nd minute. And Pearson is 35 metres away from his own line. Brown shows it to Ward. Smith is on, Thompson is off. That is Brad Smith, who's on for St George. As Gavin Clinch puts in a kick that's a mile too big.
St George now with 3 tackles up their sleeve. Hit the blind side through Brad Smith. He takes it inside the 20.
Steve Roach on the sidelines.
Gee, they're struggling in attack, this St George side. A lot of dummy half running, 1 off the ruck. 2 sets of 6 tackles they had. Couldn't even get out of their own 40.
There's Price's pass going sadly astray. St George losing valuable territory while in possession. And Price, who threw the pass, was over there to act as dummy half. So one thing we know about him is that he realises when you make a mistake and it's your mistake, you're the better man to clean it up. The high ball again, and Coyne got it away, Ward got it on, Felch will score! St George are over! St George are over the line, Luke Felch levels the score, 4 points all!
And to see some tremendous combination here by two of their young gun forwards. Gavin Clinch puts the kick up. It's not a bad tactic against North Sydney because Matt Sears is not the tallest fullback going around. They all fly, comes back to Colin Ward, and he offloads, attracting to a lovely little pass to Luke Felsh, and that must be just about Felsh's first touch of the footy tonight. But just have a look at Ward, the way that he takes the pass and offloads almost in the one motion.
15 seconds he's been on, I'm told officially by David Middleton. 15 seconds, Luke Felch. So that would have to be some kind of a record. No problems with the try.
No problems, and Matt Sears still has this problem. He will not jump to get the football. He never has, and obviously he may never at all jump to get the football.
He may never will.
May never will. But he won't jump. He's without jumping.
He might be scared of heights. Wayne Bartram from in front now. Will convert. 4 points all. Talking about St George's inability to crack the North's defence. Well, the high ball did it for them. And they lead now over North Sydney after 25 minutes by 6 points to 4 as Josh Stewart comes back on.
Australia salutes the heroes of Thredbo.
And everyone's finally got a smile on their face because it's just been so awkward the last couple of days.
Thanks very much.
The officers are doing great work up there. They're going to keep it up through the days, through the nights.
Maybe Peter's right. Maybe they came here expecting an easy game against a team that was allegedly out of the run for the semis.
I think that was the question I was aiming at you earlier, really. Peter was making the point that they want to win to make the top three, but I was just wondering whether, if you read enough publicity, do you start believing that St George is not going to be a real big problem?
Well, I think Norths are answering it for you right now, especially the last 15 minutes.
Bartram to the left of the ground, Clinch, and he goes out even further. Raper and then Colin Ward. I don't think I've seen a prop forward out quite that wide, and he was the main player in the play that they put together. Luke Felcher's tackled now, way out there on the 10-metre line. Is St George about to crack the Bears again? Brad Smith is tackled. 3 metres out, then Price to the right, Clinch for Brown. Brown puts a kick in, came off the feet of North Sydney, and it'll be a scrum that I think might still be a feed to North Sydney. If he rules that he didn't play at it, let me go to the referee.
Hey, I've made a call. It's my call.
They're blowing up.
In here.
Well, the crowd are blowing up, but the referee's got it exactly right. There was no way knowing the North Sydney player played at the football. There was a real change at the beginning of this season. Kick going through here from Brown.
Absolutely spot on, Matt Hewitt. And he's got players blowing up that didn't know the rule change. When it comes off a player who doesn't play at the football under the new rules, that has no effect at all on that team's feeding the scrum and getting the loose head. As opposed to previously, if it was deflected off you or kicked into you, the attacking side would finish up with a loose head and feed. It was a major change. And those critical of Matt Hewitt didn't know the rules. Now, we've got the tackle count at 5 and 35 metres out from the line. Sears puts in a kick. Roy is after it. Raper will have to work hard here. And he's ruled that Nigel Roy was in front of the kicker and therefore should have remained 10 metres away.
Well, North Sydney were going to run this football and went to Sears, a little bit of space on the outside. Now Sears kicks, he dummies to kick, or was he offside? Line ball, that one. It's gone against North.
Steve Roach on the sidelines again.
Yeah, we've got a new member into the front row, a former winger, David Hall, is playing at hooker for the North Sydney side. Not a bad idea. He's very quick out of dummy half. He's already made a couple of little breaks in that position.
Like your opinion on a couple of front rows out there. This man leaving the field, pretty nasty cut over the eye of Colin Ward, and Brenton Pomeroy has made an impact since coming on as well.
He certainly has. I've been lucky enough. I've seen a lot of St George games this year, and I would go without saying that he has been their best player, Colin Ward, this year. It's bad luck for him leaving the field now, but Pomeroy, I'm a big rap for him. I'm trying to get the Tigers to buy him at the moment, actually.
Well, there's a bit of news. Steve Roach is trying to convince Danny Monk and Wayne Pearce to buy Brenton Pomeroy. Now it's Felch. Now Tanker to Torres. Back and away from Wagon into the hands of Clench. He goes high. Sears underneath it. Oh, he's made another botch of it. The Bears have got it. Picked up by a player who came from an onside position, Ben Eichen, but Matt Sears is having a horror night.
Well, Matty, he's a great player. Watch his technique, though. He's got a problem. He goes down to get the ball. He actually bends his knees every time the ball comes his way.
Got to jump.
You've got to jump.
Chance for St George. Leading by 2. Bartram from the back of the scrum. 8 metres out from the line. Coyne tries to burrow his way across. Then from Brown. Cinches with it. Felch looks for number 2. Good North Sydney defence driving him back. Third tackle then. Brown. Away for Brad Smith. And one-handed pass on for Brown. Brown put down by Fairley. That's tackle 4. Now Clinch runs to them, tries to bust them. Coyne gets it away. Now it's Pearson, out for the winger. He dives for the corner. Referee will point to the spot, and St George are jubilant. They've scored again.
Well, we saw a very close decision in last Friday night's game. Brett Grogan scoring almost in similar fashion here. This gave St George the opportunity, and as Paul points out, he almost backs away in going down, Matt Sears. I don't know whether the ball was swirling or not. Then 4 tackles later, Gavin Finch runs the football, gets a nice flick pass away to Mark Coyne. Coyne again does a great job, as he did in the first try, to offload to Pearson. He had the vision to get the ball out wide. Now let's just have a look. Does the ball go down? Well, the touch judge is in great position, so too the referee. They've got no doubt.
Try scorer is Lee Murphy, by the way.
Good on him. A great ball from Mark Coyne. He's really put his hand up tonight. He's had plenty of cracks at the North defence. Good work from Pearson, who saw a man unmarked out wide, and fair try.
Yeah, no question. I don't think there's any reason to disallow this. He looks to get the ball down. The corner post goes a fraction of a second later. It's a fair try, and St George leading 10 points to 4. The kick at goal from the sideline. 4th try of his career, Lee Murphy. One of the new faces in the St George ranks. I was talking to David Waite just before we came on air. He thinks they've lost about 20 first-grade players, or players of first-grade ability, in 2 years. Players like Tallis and Mundy, it's all been documented, and it looks as though that load has become just too heavy to carry. Now Bartram from the touchline.
Barnhill and Goulet too, and to say the forwards have just had to mature much more quickly.
So there it is, a failure to convert, but you can understand from the touchline for Wayne Bartram. 10-4 St George, 2 tries to 1.
11:25 tonight, the Ashes 5th Test continues. Australia and England fighting it out for cricket's ultimate prize.
Got him, important ball.
Catch all the fast and furious action of Day 2, live from Trentbridge, 11:25 tonight on Web.
Never in the history of motoring has an Australian car been so ahead of its time. The multi-award-winning new Magna. It makes the competition look out of date.
4 minutes from the half-time break. The Nine Network coverage of Friday night rugby league across the country, and of course to be followed by the cricket. Second day with the War brothers. Are they on their way to centuries? Bartram taking a battering there from Florimo on the 30-metre line. Brown using Brad Smith, who's not been on long, but he's done some good things. Gavin Clinch prepared to catch and pass for the most part. Luke Feldt scored a try, 15 seconds on the ground. He was over the line for a try, which must be some kind of rugby league history. And then it's Nigel Roy, who's made one incisive run for the Bears. Sears goes to dummy half and tries to clear some of his blemishes with a run from there. 30-metre line as Caruana works with Pomeroy. He's out on the 40-metre line. Would Taylor be thinking of an early kick? No, even though it was just inside the 40-metre line. It hasn't been exploited like it might have been. Pomeroy picking up what I thought was a forward pass from the Bears. Taylor is with it now. So the kicker is out of it. They will go looking, and they do, for Butner. And he puts in a low kick that is going into touch about 15, in fact only about 7 or 8 metres out from the St George.
And just on Matt Sears, he is actually out there. He's playing on the left wing. So maybe Peter Louis senses a confidence problem with Sears and has got Roy back at fullback.
This is Smith, Damien Smith. St George leading by 6 points. Steve Roach, what did you find out at half-time?
Well, the first thing is, Ray, that the bruises really picked up in favour of St George in the second half, so I expect a lot more kicking. North Sydney, Peter Louis thought they were a little bit complacent. He told them it was going to be a contest. He wants more protection on the high ball, get back and help. He said, cut out the razzle-dazzle stuff, let's complete our sets and let's improve our kick-chase game. Because St George are very happy camp. He said to his side, if you dig deep and don't make mistakes, we can win this one. He expects his senior players to lead the way when they have the footy. And he said, number up on this North Sydney side, don't let them get on the outside.
In the meantime, penalty has been forfeited by Michael Butner. Tackle seemed fine, but I think after the tackle had been completed, Michael was penalised for raking it out. This is Corey Pearson now, taking it to the centre of the ground and finds himself 35 metres away from the Bears line. Brown waits for the play the ball to come down the left and find Damien Smith, prominent in the early seconds of the second half. Now Brad Smith a dummy half. Clinch across to the right, slowly as you go. Price then for a running Lance Thompson. 22 metres away from the North Sydney line. Luke Feldt, 15 out. Price a dummy half. Clinch, Brown, Brad Smith. Taylor's up the top. Butner underneath. 5 gone. Brown to Clinch for the kick. Well placed. The chase is on. And the Bears rake it back into the field of play. St George have got the ball.
Leave him.
And 6 more tackles. Correct ruling by the referee. Bartram finds Thompson. And Lance Thompson put away. 5 metres out from the line. St George already leading 2 tries to 1. And this is Price. Hill, 7 metres out. Brown again now. The breeze at their back. Clinch turning it in. Feldt is with it. Running into Larson. And 2 others come in for North Sydney. Soden quickly recaptures his position in the defence line. Brown off to the left. Crabbing it across the ground. 5 gone again for St George. Away for Price. Puts a grabbing kick in. The ball came off the uprights. And the referee drew it on top of it. 6 more tackles. Now they're looking down the barrel of about 18. If they take it through to the extremity. It's with Brown again. 7 metres from the line. St George with this faint glimmer of hope. Now they put on the mousetrap. It's gone over for Thompson. And he has made a knock on of it. And a scrum will go down.
And Lance Thompson, they're not particularly happy at all. But the big problem for St George in in that series of attacks was the speed of the play of the ball. There you can see the little knock-on down low from Thompson, but they really didn't give themselves a chance, or more than that, they gave the opposition a chance to get set.
Shears then coming away from the blindside wing. The breeze has picked up, as Steve Roach told you. This is Florimo, and the rain is coming down quite heavily now, so to be behind in those conditions is going to make the job even more difficult for North Sydney.
Yeah, I love 7-point leads, Ray. Next time I was down there from St George, I'd be putting over the 1 point and start again.
Taylor took a slap across the face, crossed the 50-metre line in doing so, and had the support there of Trindle down the right of the ground. It's Caruana kicking ahead for Dallas, but up there to take it is Damien Smith for St George.
Well, there's very good defensive play there from Daniel Wagon, the number 4 for St George on the blind side of the ruck. He was there on his own, confronted by 2 defenders. He backed off, and eventually that allowed his teammates to get there. Have a look at him. He's isolated there on the short side. He backs off. If he'd have committed himself, all of a sudden Brett Dallas would have been in some space, and that would have been tough for Smith to stop.
North Sydney coming up with the penalty. Incorrect play of the ball. I think his indication is there's no foot striking the ball. Well, there it is again, that example of where the referee probably could have gone either way.
Exactly. He was surrounded by 2 North Sydney players. And Jason Taylor having a shot at goal. But you're right, Pete, great work by Wagon. What that does when a player backs off is it puts the onus on the attacking player to make the first decision, whether he had just kept running, either passes too early or puts the kick in. In the end, they handle it well. Gee, this rain is really pouring down now.
And you can see the strength of that breeze that Steve Roach pointed out. It's a strong breeze behind St George in the second half. The Hardy fans out there, they'll be happy with the scoreline, but not the conditions.
I thought the forecast was for fine weather through till next Tuesday.
Well, Rabs, as soon as you said it was a beautiful night at the beginning of the program, we knew it was going to rain.
From the 20-metre line, hit the upright, bounce back into the field of play, and St George quick to recover. That could have been dangerous. Thompson.
There's a replacement out there for St George in jersey 20. It's Robert Hanari. His first touch was a fairly important one. He took the rebound.
Brown. Pearson.
Come here, Josh.
Pearson taken high. Josh Stewart was being called over, but in fairness to Corey Pearson, he got up very quickly. It looked like, just to me for a moment, he was faking it. Obviously he knows he's got the penalty, but he does get up fairly quickly just after that. Saints then.
Yeah.
Escaping the boot of Taylor twice tonight. 10-4 they lead. The Dragons in front of some of the great Dragons of all time. They were here tonight to be presented to the crowd. Thompson. Brown now looking for his playmaker. Just going to say looking for a forward run, and Pearson gets it to the 20-metre line. They're being blown down the other end, St George. Clinch, Price, Brad Smith a decoy, 23 is Lenahan, and he's 18 out from the line. Then from Brad Smith, Clinch works a little scissors play with Felch and Smith. Smith, got it away, but I don't know, it's Murphy in for his second try. He's pointed to the spot, and the try has been given.
Well, the first reaction in the commentary box was that there's enormous doubt over the last pass, but the referee is in excellent position. He is right in line with it. Crisscross play here. Brad Smith, who's played very strongly tonight since coming off the bench. Look at the referee. He's in line with it. It looks to be a long way forward.
Yeah, only about a metre, but he was in line, so he makes his first mistake for the night, the referee, but it's a good move. and the North defence just stood still, did not move up. They moved across the field, and it's definitely gone forward. Rabs, your call?
I think it was a forward pass.
Yeah.
The first thing I said was it looked a bit dusty, but I suppose it's only to be expected. I gave the referee a rap myself, so the next thing he's got to do is make a complete fool of himself. But that would be a very, very harsh assessment of him. His performance has been very good tonight.
And that's good work from the winger, Lee Murphy, to get his second, to score under the post. He's getting involved wide out.
So Bartram converts, and St George have extended 16 points to 4 over the Bears.
An honest cop.
I can't not leave a tip.
A waitress.
So leave a tip.
A lottery ticket.
What do you think?
I think I'm never going to see you again.
What happened next proves life is full of surprises.
I've got something to tell you.
Bridget Fonda.
Oh my God!
Nicolas Cage.
Tonight's ride home is on me!
Rosie Perez.
I should put you in a straitjacket!
For the first time on television, the feel-good romance of the year.
What you did was like a fairy tale.
It could happen to you. 8:30.
Oval. Jubilee Oval, whatever its name is. These days it's had more changes than down at Shark Park. I was just trying to think which ground has been renamed the most. It would have to be Shark Park. Here's Coy.
Steve Roach, if we'd have known that it was going to rain tonight before arriving here, I'd have said that St George or North Sydney were absolute certainties. I know that you've seen a fair bit of them this year as well, and in wet conditions, I've always thought they played their best football because they're so methodical, but it hasn't been the case tonight.
Well, as you said earlier, one of their big pluses is the way that they get onto everything. They chase well from marker, they get on the loose balls, chase kicks better than any other side. They haven't done that tonight. Their urgency isn't there, and really, this St George side's pulled their pants down. They've looked the best since Luke Felch, he come on, and Brad Smith also had a big impact. So their bench players have been great for St George.
Felch comes off, and they take him up to the dressing room, so a bit of a running repair for Luke Felch.
I've got no doubt that they are missing Billy Moore tonight, having been involved with him in a team situation with the Queensland side. He is invaluable with his talking, his communication, his enthusiasm. And you know, here's another mistake by North Sydney. So Billy Moore sorely missed for North Sydney tonight.
Here's Murphy. He's got 2 tries, both of them controversial. His first was definitely a try. I don't know about the second. Brad Smith in a similar situation as when Murphy scored his second try. Colin Ward patched up from a first half injury. Brown, Clinch, Coyne, Thompson. Thompson pulled up for the forward pass. Well, if that was forward, the pass that led to Lee Murphy's try was also forward. Coyne has put himself in every play where St George have had a chance of putting it over the line.
Yeah, well, the line there was a perfect indication of the ball travelling forward. Mark Coyne throwing a flat pass. It was taken by the receiver on the other side of the 10-metre line. Well, Sydney, there's plenty of time left. They've just got to start working out their sets of 6 and cutting these mistakes out of their game. And can you believe it? There's another one from Fairley. But fortunately for him, we ruled that it was raked out by a St George player. I think Nathan Brown was the man who had his hand in there.
You're right, mate.
Yeah, there's certainly more than one in the tackle. It was Colin Ward, actually, that raked the ball away from David Fairley. Soden finding Taylor on the left, and Josh Stewart. Taking it ahead. Billy Moore back on the bench there tonight, the player that Paul is talking about, the player that they're really missing. Florimo tries to get away, he gets it on, and in goes Caruana. Chris Caruana scores for the Bears, and it's 16 points to 8.
Well done, Greg Florimo. He is one North player who can hold his head up tonight. Some poor defence here from St George. It's one-on-one. He beats Smith on the inside. Or Price.
Price it was.
Price it was, the 5'8". You can't give Greg Florimo any room to move, and he's gone straight through and set up a beautiful try for the North Sydney team.
Yeah, well, I gave Stephen Price a rap early on for his defence. But on this occasion, he allowed Florimo to get on the outside, and Greg Florimo's got great leg drive. He just kept pumping away, attracted 2 defenders and offloaded with the one arm. Caruana, he can score a try, Caruana, whether he's playing hooker, centre. He seems to get across the line fairly regularly. Well, Florimo laid it on for him. 1 missed tackle and they're back in the game.
Taylor now, 12 metres out. Similar distance out from centre and hits it sweetly. So Taylor gets his first goal of the night. 16-10. And would you believe, as we watch Greg Florimo refusing to give in to the tackle and that leg drive that Peter spoke about, and then Caruana gets it down. Good young player, versatile. Would you believe that last year in wet conditions, the Bears beat St George 42 blot. And we know that North's are good wet weather players, but here it is 12 months down the track and it's St George by 6.
Ray, I remember that game vividly. I couldn't remember in the first half North Sydney making a mistake in that game. It was almost the perfect half of football, and they weren't too much worse in the second half as well. It was probably as good a team performance that I saw all year. Totally struck. They had one marker there, and that's where your whole defence comes from. If you're solid in the middle of the ruck, you'll be solid across the park. Just in the last 5 minutes, they've been very vulnerable up the middle of the ruck.
Saints there to give it back to North Sydney. 6 uses of it. Florimo with the first.
That's a poor drop out with the breeze.
Tangatoa the tackler, Soden the runner, then it's Comrie. 20-metre line, centre of the ground. Soden off to the right. Throws the dummy and ducks under. 10 metres out. Fairley's a dummy half. It's gone away for Williams. Williams put down again by Tangatoa and Pearson. And it's come away on the left with a long pass. 2 long passes. Soden and Taylor. And then Butner was put away. Then Sears, Taylor on the blind. They put a rush on. David Hall speculates it went forward. No need to throw a party.
Good St George defence. They got there in the end, St George. Hall into a big gap. Beautiful tackle. I think that's Price. Great covering tackle from Price.
So it's back with St George. As they cling to a 6-point lead, North Sydney threatening like the clouds overhead. 1 hour of the game gone. Ooh, Thompson flung to the ground by Fairley. Didn't like it. Tangatoa up the centre, then crabbing. Now we've got Brad Smith. No, it's Stephen Price just outside the 40-metre line. Brown with a mile of time to kick. The bounce splitting the fullback and the winger. Sears is back, and maybe he's back playing at fullback now. He is. Matt Sears, 25 out from his own line. Here goes Florimo now. Just beyond the 30. David Hall, the dummy half, and now Nigel Roy meeting up with Tangatoa and Ward. Soden, Trindle, or Pomeroy. Soden one more time. Fairley. Taylor, away from Brown. Electing to run it, Taylor, grubbing it down, looking for Dallas. Dallas is coming quickly. And then makes the tackle, or maybe the nudge, and putting St George over the sideline.
Well, it's a great result for North Sydney, but the number 4 there, Daniel Wagon, I've watched him a couple of occasions tonight. He doesn't put a lot of effort in straight away when kicks go through. He reacted very late to this one. And And he might have got the football a little bit closer in field if he'd have turned around and headed a little bit quicker.
They might be running into the wind, and just for now the rain has abated, but they look to be the team coming down the hill. North Sydney. Butner, 8 metres away from the line. Caruana with a long ball. Larson doing a little bit of dancing out there, Gary. 5 metres out from the line. Williams sweeps it. Taylor gives it. Florimo, they waited for him. Lenahan was there with him, looking in his face, and he's lost the ball.
Well, it's great St George defence. They're really rocketing up off that line, getting in the North Sydney faces, putting pressure on them, and hence the mistakes keep coming now from North Sydney. Good strong defence there too from Colin Ward, who's had a blinder tonight.
St George out to their 30-metre line. And this young man is Henari in the number 20 jumper. They've really been disadvantaged by injuries tonight, St George. They've been going down like 9 pins. Ward unloading before the defence got enthusiastic. Price 43 metres away from the North Sydney line. This is the last tackle now, as Brown puts it into the hands of his halfback and clinches kick. There's a good chase coming from St George. Sears has got some work to do. And the referee will take it, I think, back to the 20. That's where they're going. We're going to a break. We're back in a moment.
That's not Italian. But this is. Gianni! It's a fantastical.
You and Continental, just brilliant.
Think you've got it tough with your parents?
Try being raised by Grateful Dead fanatics. What's with the short hair and the steady jaw?
Susan certainly does.
Isn't that your mom coming this way?
8 o'clock Monday.
More Karen! In a minute!
Suddenly Susan here on When.
20-metre tap. David Hall makes the run. Tangata makes the tackle. At 16 to 10, St George with 15 minutes to hang on.
I still love those 7-point leads. I know that St George haven't been down that end of the field for a long, long time, but I've been looking for one. North Sydney now, they're starting to warm to their task, and this will be another penalty against Wayne Bartram. A high tackle on Nigel Roy.
Come here.
Very rare to see Wayne Bartram get upset in the game of footy.
Come here, Wayne. Wayne! Wayne! Come here. I just called him away. I said, I know that, but I thought you'd be too high. I thought you went my way. That's what I've called, okay?
I think he might have been right. The referee, I mean. You tend to feel a bit sorry for players when others fall into the tackle, and that was evident there. Now Williams cracking the 20-metre line, getting a pass away. Good work. Fairly for Caruana. Caruana wants Dallas to go in. Dallas hesitated. It brought it undone. 3 metres out from the line. Sears on for Soden, and Soden, he's almost a ferret, this bloke. He wants to burrow underneath them all the time. Caruana pays it back. Soden holds it back. Then away from Taylor for Butner. Butner for Florimo. Florimo, he'll go all the way. Yeah, Greg Florimo gets it over the line. And the Bears are at 16-14.
Oh, what a player this bloke is. 252 first-grade games tonight. Not showing his age, just bursting onto the football. One thing you know about Greg Florimo, he'll hit the gap, he'll hit the line straight and hard. He's brushing them off. Fair dinkum, look at him.
Well, the first two missed tacklers were Mark Coyne and then Wayne Bartram, and they both had pretty good shots, but the angle of the run's a beauty. He straightens up, and that really caught Mark Coyne by surprise. And then the right-hand fend got rid of Wayne Bartram, and Lee Murphy was never really a chance from that range to stop Florimo from scoring. You would think that Jason Taylor, he'll have learnt enough from his first two misses tonight to be a pretty good thing to put this one over, despite the fact he's only 9 in from touch. But I'd like to back him.
2 points to margin. Taylor, 10 metres in, coming around. Has it got the length? No. Dropping short. The head goes down. Taylor's missed 3 from 4 from memory.
Well, that breeze is very strong. And so too the run from Greg Florimo. St George somehow have got to get down the other end of the field, and there you can see the anguish from Jason Taylor. He hit it beautifully. He just didn't have the power to get it there.
Sterling's having a big week on the punt. They say he's done a fortune at the golf yesterday, and he's done it again tonight. He's back Taylor.
No, that can't be right, Ray. I'm off the punt, you know that.
That was like a big right to left punt. Fell a couple of inches short, wouldn't it? Pete knows all about them.
Just wonder what you're talking about, but we'll carry on with the football now. Roy just outside the 20.
Yeah, fourth putt, the easiest shot in the game. Don't worry about that.
Larson. Soden using David. Oh, David Hall running with the head up, and Thompson claimed him. Now Soden for Williams. Williams held by Ward and Tangatotoa. 5 gone for the Bears. They're still behind by 2. Taylor drives it down on the bounce for Murphy. And back and beyond his 40-metre line. Play the ball.
Well, that helps.
And North have given the penalty.
Well, the North Sydney player pulling down the man trying to play the football, Lee Murphy. They've needed this for something like 10 minutes.
Now he's penalised for not letting the player up to play the ball, which is the other side of the coin that we talked about earlier. Referees have, as I said before, a wide area to choose from. The arm can go either way. Depends on the man with the whistle and his mood at the time. Played by Ward, back for Brown. Pearson comes from the open. They work on the blind. Brad Smith is with it. Pass from our angle looked a little bit forward. Brown with a neat dummy. Bartram ran a decoy. Larson didn't worry about that. He went for the ball carrier. And then it's Murphy, who's just on the 20-metre line. Clinch using Price. A high step up. 12 metres out from the line. Soden did well. Thompson into Clinch. Clinch now gets a couple of decoy runs, holds it back. Ward waits it back along the ground. So does Clinch, and Lenahan's got 6 more tackles. Both he and St George. Now it's with Brad Smith, pulled down by Caruana. Nathan Brown. Pearson. Ooh, he was lucky his head went. The low tackle took him out of it. Now Brown away for Colin Ward. 2 metres out. Florimo directing traffic, the defence line. Brown's long pass, Clinch, and now Coyne. Mark Coyne. 3 metres from the line on 5. As they come back and away off the boot of Clinch. There's a chase on Murphy. Murphy for 3. Murphy for 3. He'll point to the spot. It's a try for Lee Murphy. And the young St George winger. He gets a treble. 20 to 14.
He's having a big night, Lee Murphy. Gavin Clinch got the little one in behind. Going to be very interested to have a look at the downward pressure applied by the try scorer. He's onside. No reaction there from Michael Buechner. Got me with his head. I don't know whether he knocked on in the first case. But Michael Buechner, he had to get back and help. He stood and watched.
Well, let's keep an eye on it. What does he do? Try, Rabs. I'm looking at him.
Yeah, I think there's enough pressure there.
I think there's plenty of downward pressure. Lunging Lee Murphy. Is it a try or a knock on? Maybe it's a knock on.
I don't think it's a try, but
if you're a video ref, what do you do there? I mean, that's the question.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Part of the forearm is sufficient. The ball can be grounded with downward pressure by the hand The forearm, the upper arm, and the torso. There's no drama. There's the conversion. It's successful. The record book says it was a try. 22-14. St. George over North Sydney after 71.
Well, some controversy the last two Friday night games in tight matches. I think it's a try. From that angle, I'm prepared to give it. I'll tell you what, whether he was on the winning or the losing side tonight, Colin Ward should get a winning bonus. He's had an absolute stormer out there tonight.
Hasn't he, what? He's just been fantastic, and he got pulled up about a foot short before for a try. If anyone deserves a try in this field, it's him.
What about the desperation to knock the football back after the wayward pass that gave them 6 again? Like, he's worked in every capacity tonight.
He wasn't the only one involved in that passage of play, Peter, either. And I know that he's been probably haunted by the fact that Noel Goldthorpe is no longer there, but Gavin Clinch had a little part in that. This is Brad Smith.
Hands away, North.
42 metres away from the St. George line. As Brown goes right to Clinch. Bartram's offside. Price wasn't. And he nearly leads the chase, although Coyne is down there now with Damien Smith, and Nigel Roy will succumb. You've almost thrown him into the fence.
That's been a big difference in the sides tonight, the kick chase, and Mark Coyne, I've got to tell you, he's one of the best kick chasers in the game today, if not the best. He gets down there, he puts pressure on the man picking up the football, and in the end he nearly gets thrown over the fence here, Roy. But Gavin Clinch has played very well. It's been a big problem this year for St. George, has been the halfback position with no Goldthorpe. They've had Ben Custo there, Gavin Clinch at times, they've swapped and they've played ducks and grace with that position, but Gavin Clinch has played very well tonight.
Pearson. 20-metre line behind Murphy. Imagine how he's feeling, Lee Murphy. 3 tries against North Sydney in front of his home crowd. Colin Ward. 10-metre line. Brown for Price. Back for Lenahan. Met by Caruana and Butner. At 22-14. 6 minutes to go. Brad Smith. Been good since he came off the bench, and he's had a lot of match time.
Clinch has just got to roll him into the in-goal again here.
Clinch is with it. There's the grubbing kick. Murphy was after it, thinking about number 4. But it's coming back to the 20-metre line. North Sydney. I'm just trying to work out as I watch the closing minutes of this game what this does to their points tally as far as maybe missing the top 3 is concerned. Taylor, pass was in front to Williams, and Sears couldn't get a catch on it. Clinch brings it back. Thompson. Damien Smith out there is acting half now, and Coyne on the blind side trying to take some heat away from him. Smith a couple of metres on his own side of the halfway. Well, St. George. A little glimmer of hope kept alive here tonight. North's now with only a bolter's chance of beating them. And Bartram, I don't know that he's feigning cramp.
That's 3 gone.
Probably that maturity that Wayne has got on his side says, let's take a little break, let's slow it down. Nigel Roy folding back to take it. The chase is on. He's got rid of at least one of them. Murphy comes again. And they're running it from inside their own 20-metre line through Michael Butner. Thompson and Pearson in defence. Larson again. 22 points to 14. 4 tries to the St. George side. 4-3 the tries. And this is Wagon.
Well, St George will win this game tonight. They still can't make the 7. This win will put them still 3 points behind the 7th place team, which is the Gold Coast, who are on 19 points. So their season is probably finished, and mathematically you'd say they can, but they've got a couple of very hard games in the run into the semis. There they are there, South Queensland and Sydney City Parramatta. You wouldn't think they could win those 3, and they'd finish on 22 anyway. It wouldn't be enough, I don't think. But it's been a good performance tonight. It's a case of what might have been for St George with a few more players available to them in season 97. And for North Sydney, I reckon this is a big wake-up call for them. A couple of unconvincing wins lately against Balmain and the Gold Coast, where they led by 25 at half-time or 26 at half-time. So maybe they've just been lulled into a false sense of security, and they've got a pretty hard run into Parramatta at 1 point behind them before they play this weekend.
Okay. That answers an earlier question. Soden away for Williams. Price came up. He felt the strength of Williams, fairly adroitly getting it away. Caruana for Dallas. The flying Brett Dallas. Oh, taken late and around the top. The infield kick will bring the penalty, and it'll bring a bit more than that, I think.
Well, it's got to bring at the very least a sin binning, which is really of no consequence here. It all depends on whether the touch judge's report is going to be stronger than that. Lee Murphy, the triple try scorer, has gone.
Well, the tackle was late. I don't know if it was high, but Brett Dallas reacted strongly. He should know better than that. Just got to cop it sweet and get on with it.
Well, with it only being a sin bin, you've got to say that it's a good result for Lee Murphy, and one that maybe, in a cynical way, you probably had to come up with.
I was just wondering, let's stay with the play because the Bears are very close to the line. I was just wondering whether the player in question, Lee Murphy, was, as well as being sin bin, put on report. It's with Florimo, and that's the line just in front of him. Just 2 minutes to go. They're 8 points behind. And then Taylor. Oh, Christ! Saints coming up quickly. Williams. Then for Fairley. Now away for Caruana again. Dallas are coming up. Corner post there, as you can see. Now it's David Hall. The uprights just in front of them. Take it across the park. And Butner intercepted. But called back. And it will be a penalty to North Sydney because Clinch was offside and a touch off St George. Now it's Sears. He wanted to get rid of it, but nobody wanted to support him. This is Stewart. A metre out from the line. 22 to 14. Soden burrows over. And the referee says play it. Then, Sears has knocked on. The advantage goes to St George. And Nathan Brown will play it.
Well, Nathan Brown, who's lying down, also with cramp, came up with a great try-saving tackle in this corner. Corey Pearson, the next ruck. And unfortunately, look, I'm an enormous fan of Matty Sears, but maybe it's a fitting way for his game to finish tonight. Just on that Lee Murphy incident, I think you'll find that Brett Dallas probably wouldn't have scored because there is a St George player who does get back. He's just on the top of screen now. Obviously, it would have been a much closer contest, but Gavin Clinch did get back maybe in time.
Yes, and just refreshing ourselves, the referee has to be convinced that a try would have been scored undoubtedly. There's the full-time siren. This has been something special for St George. Not too many think that they can make the semis. All the quarters, call them what you like. But they are clinging on to some hope. And they've kept that dream alive tonight with a 22 points to 14 victory. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Steve will have the man of the match for you. And Peter will wrap it up in just